when Maynard decided that, I think I told the story here, that he was now going to meet with the chiefs, leaders at the Department of Aviation, the airport, and chief engineering and chief architectural people for the expansion of the new airport. It flabbergasted me that anybody, because I was totally young and totally naive to what major projects meant, but I couldn't believe that people had been working on it already 5 or 6 years and getting very good money. But the actual contracts that they entered into were not even in the coffers of the purchasing department in the city. They were in the home safe of the secretary of the commissioner of finance.
In the home safe?
The home safe.
So this was a city that was operating with very antiquated procedures and procurement.
Very antiquated procedures. Very little central accountability. Almost departmental and bureau fiefdoms that you had to figure out how to deal with this one and how to deal with that one. And Maynard said to me, I guess we ought to start off, counselor, by looking at the contracts. And I said, fine. He said, why don't we also meet tomorrow and you can go over them tonight and tell me what you think of them. And I went out to where anyone with a charge like that would go, and that was to the Bureau of Purchasing. And I happen to remember the poor fellow's name. He turned absolutely red when I showed up. I don't know, maybe he had heard about me and the work I was doing with Maynard, but he said, I don't have those contracts. And I said, but does that mean they're at the Department of Aviation at the airport? And he said, no, which would have at least been an acceptable alternative. You would have thought they would have had one in central purchasing and maybe a departmental copy out at the airport, but neither one had a copy. And I said to him, well, where is it? And he said, it's in the Commissioner of Finance's office. I went right upstairs there and found out that he had those at home.
Excuse me?
He had those at home. And I said, well, somehow or other you're going to have to get those down here today because I have an assignment tonight to study them and have a report for the mayor in the morning. He had to leave or send someone to his house to get them. And I always heard that he got some of them signed over the back bench of the church he went to. Several of the people attended his church. So the city of Atlanta at that time was very much an old white boys club. They didn't even have a wide distribution of the chances to non-African Americans. It was a very closed, clubby place where people thought it was appropriate to even keep city contracts out of the central purchasing bureau and in their own safes at home.
This is 40 years ago.
This is 33 years ago. 35, 40 years ago. I found out after that so many things were not done through the purchasing process. It was just
so Maynard really came in and developed the purchasing process?
He did. He had to. And one of the things that I think never gets a sufficient amount of attention is just how burdensome it was for Maynard to come in young, African American, first mayor of that type, but also the first mayor under a totally different charter.
I see.
And much of the tug of war that Maynard engaged in some of the senior members of council really had to do with the complete alteration of government that had to take place under the new charter, the 1973 charter that was to be effective in January of '74 for the first mayor under it. And that happened to be Maynard.